Hi, I'm Ross Tayler. Welcome to Sacred Sundays, a space to slow down, tune in, and return to what's sacred within and around you. Some weeks you'll hear a sound-based offering to open the space. Other times we'll simply begin in conversation. However it unfolds, this is an invitation into presence, connection, and the beauty of the unseen. So pour a cup of tea, settle in, and let's begin. Today on Sacred Sundays, we're joined by Carolyn Green, a modern mystic, master energy healer, and spiritual teacher who bridges ancient wisdom with modern life. For over 20 years, Carolyn has taught and guided students, healers, and seekers through the timeless teachings of yoga, Ayurveda, meditation, and nature-based spirituality. Known for her calm, inspiring presence and her gift for translating deep spiritual truths into practical insight, Carolyn helps people awaken to their inner wisdom and live with greater peace, purpose, and connection. Carolyn, welcome to Sacred Sundays.
Hi there. I'm coming from the beautiful lands of the Skokomish people, and it's a lovely fall day, so thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So good to have you. And Carolyn and I have a personal connection. We've known each other we were trying to figure it out before we started chatting, but let's just say at least 15 years. We used to live in Squamish together and we shared the same birthday, and cool to have you on the podcast and to have this conversation.
Yeah, thanks, brother.
You're welcome. So Carolyn is actually going to begin by chanting a Vedic mantra for us, and I'll hand it over to Carolyn for that beginning piece.
Yeah, this mantra is a very special mantra for right now. The essence of this mantra, if you settle into your seat while you listen, it's very grounding. It's a very nurturing, Mother Earthy kind of feel to it. We'll sit back and enjoy, and maybe just even invitation to place your hand on your heart, maybe one on your belly, and just feeling the seat below you. And while I chant it, I'm going to be chanting it for a while. It's very simple, and you're welcome to, even for yourself, sing along when it feels good. We're just going to go straight into the beautiful essence of this mantra.
Radhara Shama Sundar Radhe Radhe Radhara Shama Sundar Radhe Radhara Shama Sundar Radhe Radhe Radhara Shama Sundar Radhe Radhara Shama Sundar Radhe Radhe Radhara Shama Sundar Radhe Radhara Shama Sundar Radhe Radhe Radhara Shama Sundar Radhe Radhe Radhe, Radhe, Radha Shama Sundar, Radhe, Radhe, Radha Shama Sundar, Radhe.
To allow the sounds to echo in the canyon of your mind. Allow the chant to just anchor into your heart. Tucked in the memory of your favorite songs of your childhood, tucked into a innocent space. And we'll integrate that with just another mantra that's a little bit of an invocation to connect your heart and your spirit even firmer. Om Trayambakam Yejam Mahe Sukandim Pushtivadanam Uvarukamavabandanam Mrikchormuksha Mamritat. So thank you for receiving and practicing some connection with me in this offering.
That was beautiful, Carolyn. Thank you.
My pleasure. It's win-win.
Where I'd like to start is I really believe that we're moving through the world so quickly at the moment in general. And it seems to me that the practices that you share with the world are really about helping people to slow down and to stop and to come into the present moment. And just curious what you would want to say about that.
Yeah, I kind of think in metaphors, and one of the images that comes for these times is, kind of like a figure eight. Like we all know we're going through something. So this upgrade, whatever you want to call it, we're kind of going through a bit of an eye in the needle, so to speak. And I think the concept of time is held in the mind, and there's everything out there that is speeding up our mind, right? So all these sense of commitments and times and stuff we learn around the globe, and our brain is just so busy that it's not until we get into these deeper realms of nature with the sounds of the mantra, but also just in nature in general, like the forest. It kind of gives us a body experience of slowness, of almost even timelessness, which is really medicine right now.
And why do you think that medicine is so important right now?
There's a couple of things. One, my physical experience of just playing with them and chanting with them, and it just is instant alignment for me. I'm a mom. I have relationships with my mom and my sister and my partner and my kids and community members, and we're all sort of going through intense times right now. So having a tool that is as efficient as doing this, I've just been able to subtly experience that after I chant mantras, I play them in my car, I play them around, I chant with other people, and I just have both a sense of grounding and a sense of upliftedness. Just something rises up that sort of allows some of the stresses just to sort of fall away. But then I've learned in my studying with the Vedic philosophies, the yoga philosophy, this is a time that was meant to be very busy, and they came out that this was the medicine for it, actually. Chanting mantras is the medicine for us in this specific time. So, but I go with my body's experience with anything. We could read about all this stuff that's good for us, do this, do that, try this self-care, it's going to be good for everybody. But honestly, right now, we have to get less out of the mind to prove that it's going to be good for us and just experience it. But we have to stop doing. to experience stuff a lot of the time.
I love that. And I guess there's two pieces in there, but the first question I want to bring back to is I'm imagining that there might be some people listening that it might be their first time hearing a mantra or hearing the music that you were playing. So what would you want to say to those people?
I would say that these traditions, we've had throughout the entire human experience on all over parts of the world, humans have always sung together. They've always sung together. They've always chanted together. They've always done this. So there's a sense of community and there's a sense of remembrance. And to not go into too much of the details of the stuff that's chanted, but the heart remembers chanting in general. And somewhere along the lines, 500 years ago, it switched from our traditional ancestors stopping chanting or singing and turning it more into a performance thing. So I would say a couple things. One, mantras are not something oh, that song is pretty, I'm going to listen to that. Or that person has a nice voice, they can sing mantra. So the difference is that we are given this voice. Our voice, it's in the most fragile place in our neck, right? But it is really medicine for us. So if we can chant these mantras ourselves, I actually share with people one of my favorite people to chant with and to sing with is very tone deaf. He doesn't get the song right. He doesn't get but he sings just like a child, complete freedom, complete trust, complete absolute allowing for the experience. So I would say, one, this is not about religion or dogmatic practices. This is just about finding chants that resonate with you on an experience base. And it's not about making you sound good. It's literally about calibrating your own vibration.
One of the things that really speaks to me is the piece around voice, because on my own journey, there was a long period of time where I didn't feel like I had access to my voice. And I'm hearing that this is medicine to reclaim our voice and to reconnect with our voice and express ourselves in ways that we might not have been giving ourselves access to. And I love that you mentioned that in history, we've always sung together. And yet that's something that isn't necessarily accessible to everyone in our culture. And yet music is such a big part of our culture to listen to anyway.
Yeah, and it's such medicine. I mean, really, scientifically, they've proven that our sense of hearing, we have more, I think 3 times more neurological receptors from our ears and the vibrations that those pick up to our brain than even our eyes. So we are given this gift of sound, whether we have minor hearing impairments, those kind of things, that is such a doorway. I was talking to a Sufi leader, meditational leader, and he said that in their culture, the eyes are the windows to the soul, which we've heard, but also the ears are the doorways to the soul. And so this idea that just even listening can really just open up something for us and shift our state of being. We could have a really bad day and all of a sudden song comes on the radio that was your favorite song when you were a kid, and there just is this natural lift. Or you even this more subtle musical tones of like children's laughter on the playground. Our nervous system really is wired to respond to sound. And so we use it with these kinds of things. It turns it into sound medicine. These mantras are medicine in just a very simple way. I mean, my kids chant these mantras. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to do this part of your evolution. It's pretty magical, actually.
I love that. You mentioned that these heavier times were predicted. Perhaps you could say a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So one of the lineages, the Bhakti Yoga lineage, what they saw, so similar to, and it's predicted in these times that the same way we have circadian rhythms throughout the day, there's a difference in qualities in the morning than in the highest, warmest part of the day, and then different gentler afternoons. And the same as the seasons, we have these different sort of vibrations that come in through the different seasons. So in these ancient, very ancient cultures, they kept verbal and oral records that there are also seasons and cycles in eras. So it was foretold that we are now coming into the era. That's actually why the book of the Vedas, all the Vedas, is actually really ancient indigenous knowledge. It was very succinct. It was chanted so that the mind could retain all the information, very, very detailed. And it was foretold that we were coming into this new age called the Kali Yuga. The yugas are the eras, and that we are going to, it was an era of a bunch of things: intensity, forgetfulness, a whole bunch of things. But one of them is forgetting these daily practices that a lot of these ancient peoples would do to keep themselves balanced physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. So a whole bunch of these gurus sort of like, okay, let's write these down. Let's write these down and pass it forward. And so they did, and they did it in the form of a lot of stories, a lot of metaphors, and then also some very specific details of that more seem sciencey. So this era is really interesting because as much as it's very intense, it was predicted to be very paradoxical, like polar situations, right? The extremes of one thing and the extremes of the other. And we can see that in our politics. We can see that in so many things. There's actually so much going on that's beautiful in the world right now, but it can be overshadowed by these sensational media things. But in the different yugas, the one actually that's coming up after this one is going into another golden age where everything is in perfect harmony. Oh, we're just a well-tuned instrument for the divine to play, and to people knew and felt with their hearts much stronger what their purpose was. But we're in a time where we've forgotten a lot of these healthier practices. For each of the yugas, they have a sort of avatar spirit that comes in, that's a teacher and a leader to tell us what the medicine is for this era. And so he's already apparently come and gone. His name is Chaitanya, and he came, and he was not a musician. He just came and taught people that the medicine to get through this era, this very intense time, this very darker time, was to be that diamond that's radiating in the hot mess that we are in. And it is to chant mantras. It's to sing and have just the lightness in the heart is enough. And I think that's so beautiful, because some of the other eras were more based on, like, the yoga asana poses, all things that make you feel good and are great. And this one is the kind of the purest medicine that we can get. And this Yuga time, it's this Kali Yuga. It's I had this Ayurvedic doctor was telling me they're so beautiful in their languages, getting outside of the Western articulation of it. But he said this time is supposed to be intense for us. It's supposed to be so chaotic for us, so that the only place we can go, that we can feel what's really freedom for us, is to go inside. It forces us to go inside, and the inside is the heart. And so the strongest reminder of where that heart is singing and chanting these uplifting songs. It's really beautiful to know how simple it is, and yet we overcomplicate it with trying to control the chaos in the outside world, when really we just have to keep going back. Keep realigning. You could chant a mantra for 5 minutes and it will just align you enough to be clearer in terms of your next steps in the outside world.
Wow. I mean, there's so many things that you just brought up that I want to ask questions about, and I'm trying to pick the one. And I think well, there's a couple. So let me ask the first question, which is, what would you say to someone who says, well, this isn't my culture. This isn't, like, do I have a right to connect with something that isn't a part of my direct culture?
As Caucasian people, the majority of us have lost a lot of our indigenous roots, which are very nature-based, very harmonious. So I would say that In my learnings and my teachings, when we come with an open heart and learn from that we do have our hidden ignorances and biases, is just to come with an authentic heart and find some guidance within these cultures. I think you just start small. You start, you go on, Spotify or one of the music things and listen to the mantras, or you listen to some YouTube recordings of people in those cultures who can just share these beautiful wisdoms. But I can tell you, I've always been embraced because we are lost peoples. We're a tribe of lost peoples that have lost our actual foundational tribes. And I think that in order to reconnect to the earth and to our universal tribe, which is part of the earth, I would say it's really important to just look and explore and feel what resonates, and also look to the guidances of indigenous people, using it very respectfully. But you just start small and you ask questions and you get clarifications. But I think just knowing that we can't really do this on our own. We're kind of lost. A lot of people feel lost right now. And so using these ancient wisdoms and these practices, I think, is a really important thing. There's certain things I wouldn't do because I don't know how that culture would feel if I was and just jumped in and started doing this. So it's keeping a humbleness about it, knowing that we are students trying to reconnect. But I can honestly say, as soon as there's an ounce of curiosity with a genuine open heart, there's definitely a very warm, inviting community somewhere, for sure.
And I think what you said earlier about how it feels so good in your body is in and of itself such a clear signal that it is aligned, that it is helpful, and that it is accessible in that way.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It keeps that innocent, like I said, kids chant these mantras. There's no judgment required about how this feels. It's just, you just experience it. We don't have to go into the details. This mantra means this and this means that. It's literally experience based. I had a woman that shared, and she suffered from a lot of trauma, and she probably did tons of talk therapy to try and get her to heal her wounds, which is fantastic. And sometimes we need to go to a place where the mind and the words and the articulations can just dissolve to just feel peace and feel love. And all she had to do was be present for a couple mantras. And she said she doesn't remember ever being at a nice, deep state of peace, just listening to some mantras for 20 minutes. So it really is something you just have to experience, and then you go with it. You just try and have more.
Mm-hmm. I also wanted to touch back to, you referenced this, the being in the time of the Kali Yuga, and I just wanted to reflect that this shows up in other modalities. The same messages are coming across, whether it's Buddhism, whether it's Tao, whether it's human design, the gene keys, like it's being shared. Oh, and astrology, like the message is similar throughout all of these, that we are in a time of change. And that when you talk about the golden age coming, it's really interesting to consider. It's like, how are we going to get from where we are right now to this state of harmony and beauty, and what is going to have to happen for that to change? And it's really interesting to consider that. But the clear thing is the message is being shared in many different places, and there's a consistency within it.
Yeah, it's been going on for a while. Lots of holy people, we'll call them, from all indigenous cultures over the last couple decades have really, behind the scenes, been connecting in various ways and saying this. I think the thing is that it's so lovely to know that they're holding space for us and doing all their prayers in their ways. And it's also not up to them to save us, if that makes sense, save us from the suffering. I think knowing that this is part of the cycle, knowing that we're actually going to be in it for a while, it's not necessarily about making it through to the next one. It's actually about doing our part and being of service. A big piece of the bhakti philosophies is just devotional service from the state of the heart, from the state of the divine. And so how can we best serve our humanity? Beings in all worlds are all looking to us to help. We're at this tipping point of really, how can we embrace the truest heart that we have? And that means we need to create a relationship with that heart and with that connection so that we can really floss out these impurities of our own hearts to be able to just show up in our world at each given moment as the truest form of us. So in this culture of yogas and stuff, we talk about Dharma. Dharma's not necessarily always this future thing in front of us. My Dharma is to be this. It's also the micro steps along the way. Maybe my Dharma was to chant a mantra because I was off and then go to the grocery store, and my presence alone and my smile alone to one individual was enough to bring more lightness to their heart. So it's kind of like, what was that movie? There's like the butterfly effect. Like, we don't know the beautiful orchestra that nature's intelligence, this divine creation, does behind the scenes of creating this beautiful harmony. Our job is to stay attuned and stay aligned. So best way I can describe it, again, is all these beautiful metaphors. I don't know if anyone's heard of the goddess Saraswati. She plays a veena, which is a stringed instrument. And the teaching around it is that we are one of an infinite amount of strings on this beautiful instrument that the divine plays, that the divine creates with us. It creates beauty, it creates books, it creates wisdoms, it creates art, it creates everything. And it's our job to stay in tune. Just so it's like, the same idea as an orchestra. If you had one instrument just slightly out of tune, you might not notice it, but the ones who are performing around that person would be subtly off, right? And so they'd have to work harder to reattune themselves to their instruments. So this is why in this time we have to keep going back just to us. We know that in order to be of service, to bring more light into these times, to set the pace for these beautiful transformational times for humanity. And it's really beautiful. And it's also, the struggle's real, right? The struggle is real to do the simple things, the simple self-care things to keep us aligned is probably the hardest, actually.
Oh, I would totally agree. And I love, to double back to what you said a little while ago. You said that the only way to access freedom and our heart is to go inside. And that's a theme that has been showing up a lot in my awareness through different people, different conversations, different experiences. And to what you just said, it's like, it is literally the hardest journey to go inside, because we've been so distracted by everything that's going on outside of ourselves. And we're literally orienting to the external when the answer is actually internal.
Yeah, I see it like almost like a compass, right? Our heart is the only thing pointing us north. There's no point grasping at the fog that we're in and trying to hold on to these imaginary things and grasping. It's really just taking time to sit and pull out that compass and just telling the heart, like, what do I need right now? Which is a step on your path, right? A step on this sort of golden path. Like, what does this body and this nervous system need right this minute? And it's usually something really simple, like just taking some breaths or making a cup of tea, or being honest with yourself that you have to have a conversation with someone and be brave. But unless we actually take the time, we're just going to get caught up in that hamster wheel that it's real.
And I love the metaphor of grasping at the fog, because as much as these things, to anyone who's been on the journey for a long time, and we can access those things, it can actually be a radical act, like to do something for you before someone else. Like, it's a radical act.
Yeah, I think it goes against our Western culture. We went from one of the beliefs that was strong when you and I were kids was this idea of like, you can't be selfish. You can't be
Hmm.
selfish. And it's like that redefining what selfish is actually really important. It's actually, there's the metaphor of like, you go on a plane and you're supposed to put the mask over yourself before your own child. Like, that's
Yes.
counterintuitive, but it's for a purpose because they need you to survive and not fall unconscious so that you can help the more vulnerable people. And I think that's
Hmm.
the thing is that we can talk about this forever, but like one of the things is making sure there's many beautiful healers in the world, but hopefully they're also doing their work by healing themselves so that they can be this better person for our vulnerable people in the communities healing the healers is or caring for the caregivers. Like these are really big things to help get rid of and dissolve that whole idea of what selfishness is. Selfishness is not a nice word, but if we shift it, I guess, to self-care or capital S self, that's like the bigger self, sullen language.
And I remember there was somebody I came across who actually had a nice turnaround for the selfishness. And I think it's like radical something, radical, wish I could remember, but it was really, really important and really helpful to actually turn that around.
Yeah, I think I know one of the things that's come up for that radical theme was like there's so much radical things, but I think it's usually states of being. So
Hmm.
acceptance, I'd say radical acceptance is huge because we really need to remember that we're human and we
Yeah.
are in a very heavy time and we really need to put that mask on and really take care of ourselves.
Uh-huh.
Um, it's really important because we can get caught up in the like, oh, I have to do this. I have to do this. I was told this is the right thing to do. But honestly, just sitting and being and really finding out, it's almost a form of self mastery to just sit and learn about what this nervous system needs. It's the nervous
Hmm.
system that's really getting a big upgrade in our bodies. So
Absolutely.
it's important to really get to know it.
Yeah. And what I love about that is the universality of the nervous system. Like we all have that same nervous system. And so really what we need each other. And if I'm regulated, then you will become regulated just by being in my presence. And so that intermingling of the state that we're in, which is what you said about going into the grocery store and radiating that energy, really that is what we need to start doing, trying not to do it alone and instead do it in community, which is the essence of what you were just saying.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the thing is that we're also especially our Western culture, it's so much about doing.
Uh-huh.
You're not an efficient part of humanity or your community if you're not productive and you're not doing things. So we have such a
Totally.
huge thing and our sense of wealth is based on money and accomplishments and which is linked to doing and having those kinds of things, but it's the being piece, like what state of being we're in, is way more that we need to focus on so that we can attune ourselves and be that person. There's a big difference between the grumpy version of yourself and the more like, I'm so rested and I just had the most beautiful sound bath self, right? Going into Walmart at Christmas time. Or like, we have to put ourselves in these extreme situations to actually like realize how the impact.
I love that you mentioned that because I have this little internal practice of, can I go to Costco and maintain balance and peace and just like smile through the experience? And if I can't, I know that something's out of alignment that I need to work on. And most of the time I can just cruise through Costco and have a peaceful time. And I think it's like an extreme environment in a lot of ways because of the intense energy that shows up there.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's a good training ground, that's for sure. And another piece too is like some I would say in these times our nervous systems and we'll call it our antenna that's picking up on we have our own vibrations and then we are also some of us are, whether it's neurodiversity or whether it's just whatever the wiring is in us or our DNA, we're just a little bit more sensitive. And so when you go to some of these environments, you're not just getting triggered yourself by your own past experiences and what's coming up for you, but you're actually picking up on other people's. Like Costco's a great example because, the lineups are long and people are rushing and the carts are so big and the aisles are so small for the carts. And, it's a really good test of our own patience, but you can pick up on other people's anxieties. And so
Totally.
a really great practice is to really, in those experiences, is just to really breathe, and even asking the question, how much of this anxiety, impatience, whatever it is, how much of this is actually mine?
Yeah.
And I guarantee you it will never be 100%. It probably won't even be really close to 100%. I mean, if you've been doing this practice for a while.
Sure.
But it's kind of like, oh, okay. It's almost like you can kind of brush it off then. Like you can feel it, but it can also, you don't have to own it that something is wrong. It just is. But yeah, it's a great practice to just see where you are. And yeah, sometimes when we've got a lot going on in our own world, maybe choosing, is it a good day to go to Costco for my nervous system? No, I'm going to do something else
Exactly.
instead.
Yeah. So true. All right. So I feel like this conversation could easily keep going, but I would like to bring it to a close, and I'll close with asking you this question that I like to ask on every episode. And it's, what is one simple way that someone could connect with the sacred today?
I would say to a simple way is to get outside, even just opening your door and just looking up to the sky, just having this lift and feeling the connection and feeling this lift of wholeness and breathing into that state of being. Be in a forest, fantastic. If you can be wherever, but if you're in an environment where you can't just, all of a sudden go on a weekend retreat somewhere, I would just say breathing with the expansive sky to have this lift, looking at clouds or not, and just feeling connected to the whole and trust with your heart of you're exactly connected to everybody, and all you have to do is tune in to what you need, just a little stillness.
I appreciate that answer. That's great. I love the simplicity of that. And for people who want to stay connected or explore more of your work, what's the best place for them to find you?
Probably the best place is going to my website, which is carolyngreenwellness.ca, and just signing up for the newsletter. They don't go out very often, but there's some events on there. But the newsletter is probably going to be the best way with some tips and connections. I'm doing some online classes, workshops, in person and online. Some of them are community-based by donation, and some of them are paid. So that's the best way to connect with me.
Excellent. And we'll make sure we put those links in the show notes. So I just want to say thank you so much, Carolyn, for making time today for this conversation. It was great to connect with you and share these bits of information and banter back and forth, and so happy that you're able to be here.
Oh, thank you. I'm so grateful that you're doing this podcast for people to hear the guidance that's necessarily right now for everybody. So thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. And to everyone listening, thanks for tuning in. And until next time, take good care. Thank you for joining us here on Sacred Sundays. I hope something in today's offering spoke to your spirit, stirred something true, or simply gave you a moment to breathe. You can find more Sacred Sundays episodes, as well as other conversations from the Sacred Village podcast at sacredvillagepodcast.com. Feel free to share this episode with someone who might need it. Until next time, may your Sunday be slow and sacred. Bye for now.